Hello and welcome. Today we are talking about how to respond to reviewers. If you write a case report, you write a manuscript, a review article, when you're submitting it to a journal, they are asking you to actually respond back if they have comments. And then this is an art I would like to share with you all. So let me share my screen with you and then see if we can go over with some of these things in next 20 to 30, 20, 30 minutes and then see if we have any other questions. So I'm sharing my screen. I'm going to switch quickly. All right. You should be able to see this now. Those who are joining late, if you mute yourself, today we will be talking about how to respond to reviewers. And this is something comes up from the experience we have come across in last 15 plus years to respond to different reviewers. And then this is something is recommended when you're responding to reviewer as well. I put down some of my affiliations in terms of as my associate editor roles and guest editor roles and topic editor roles, and then being reviewing for quite a few journals for a while now. So myself, so I can speak to from both sides as a reviewer myself and as an author investigator when I get the review responses from the different reviewers as well. So let's go for next 20 minutes. I'm very excited about this lecture. I've not given this lecture before, so there's some information which is brand new and then not very many people have seen. I'll start with this first. My first slide is that responding to reviewer is an art. It is an art. If you master the art, you will have your chances of getting acceptance going to be very, very high. It's never going to be 100%, but this is will be your increase your chances if you know how to respond to reviewers. And then I will just want to give you some highlights and some tools today that may help you increase your publication acceptance chances into any major journal when as you go through. So I'll give you there are only few slides, so I may spend a little bit more time on each slide for that matter. Then first and foremost, I would like you guys to take this away is that once you receive the reviewer's comment and when you're reading it, sometimes the language is, oh, we cannot accept your manuscript in current format, or we regret to say you that we can't accept it. However, we invite you to resubmit it, responding to reviewer's comment, and then that may give you an upset. You were hoping your manuscript accepted, but now what you hear is like, oh no, I have to do this as well. You're upset, and then you're reading reviewer's comment, then you're not reading in a good mood. Things may be simpler what they're asking you to do. It's not too much work, but once you read it, you're reading in a very upset mind. So my suggestion is read your comments first, send it to your co-authors or your mentor, and shut down your computer or your phone. Go back to those comments after a couple of more hours, or maybe next day morning once you have a good night's sleep. So read it at least twice. When you read the first time, it may seems very overwhelming, but when you start reading it again, then you like, you know what? Yeah, this is easy to fix. This is easy to fix. Maybe I'm not sure about this. Maybe it's not easy to fix and things like that. So very quickly you realize it that most of things could be easily fixed. So it's not a bad review at all. Once you have read it, then suggestion is to actually copy paste all the comments which have editor have sent it to you, including editor's comments and reviewer's comment, and organize them into editors, reviewer one, reviewer two, and so on and so forth. You're just what you're doing is you're copy pasting whatever comments you got it in your email or on the journal's website where the submission process goes through, and you're just putting into your Word document and organizing it accordingly. Patience is going to be a key. You have to exercise patience. You try to understand the reviewers and editors' point of view. This is a hard thing. I'm asking you to do it in a very first slide. Trying to understand their point of view is going to be the key. See what they're trying to say. If they are confused about something, go back and read what you have written. Maybe you have written it is confusing for them, and maybe that's the same comment is for other reviewers as well. They're talking about this is not clear. Your title says this, but your result says this, or your abstract is missing these things, and then your main result doesn't have these things and things like that. So goal is to try to understand their point of view that maybe the reviewers are trying to enhance your manuscript, and that is the case most of the time. 90-95% time, they're just trying to understand better and make it better read for the journal's audience and so on and so forth. Then be kind to yourself. I think this is not a judgment on your quality of your work. This is the way the peer review works, that we review each other's work and try to enhance it and make it an acceptable quality, so then people can actually go out and then read some of these things. Now, well, let me see if I can, I if I'm recording this. Yeah, this has been recorded. Good. So these are your colleagues. These are colleagues from the same part of the world or different part of the world. When you're responding to, and we'll go into that detail when you use these next four, step number 4 and 5. When you're responding to these comments, you have to be kind. You cannot be upset. Some places you have to be assertive. You have to communicate your point in a way. If they're not understanding, then say it in different way while you're responding it as well. And I'm going to share this technique of three as you go through some of these part, that you can use different methodologies for different type of questions they're asking for, and I'll give you some examples in the end as well. All right, so now let's go to the meat of the project, meat of the response, what you have. uh, my first and foremost strategy is like, go for the low hanging fruits or low hanging area. If reviewers and editor is pointing out some grammar, some spelling mistakes, some content flow issues, always this is an easy fix. Please, fix them without any fuss. Saying thank you so much for pointing it out. We have now fixed it, and we have now actually corrected the grammar issue or the spelling mistake or typo, and our apologies for the typo and things like that, and you can move on. These are the easiest things to fix it as well. I'm hoping that as you develop writing skills and other things as well, there are less and less grammar issues or spelling mistake. But sometimes you're working with junior colleagues or students, and they're not that diligent when they're submitting it. That time you have to respond to them as well. Even to this response or even to main manuscript, I would suggest to use any possible like Grammarly or free version where you are not actually putting a lot of grammatical mistakes and things like that. So first and foremost point is that this is the easiest low hanging fruit. Just fix them. Say yes, thank you for pointing it out. We have fixed it, and then move on. Now, let's go into a little bit more. Many reviewers, most likely, they will point out some weaknesses. These weaknesses could be the study design, the method, the data issues, the limitation of your results, and all those things as well. How would you respond to it? Acknowledge it, saying, thank you so much for pointing that out. We acknowledge this, and now we have included this as a point in our method section, in our discussion section, or our limitation section. Wherever the weakness they are pointing it out, based on where they are, you can always include what point they are making it. Sometimes reviewers actually give you exact statement. So without fighting for it, you can take that statement, come back into your manuscript and write down into appropriate areas, and then come back and say, hey, thank you so much for suggesting it. We have this is of course a weakness or flaw in our study. Now we have included this in our limitation section, and copy paste what you have included that into what you call it as a in italic version or bold format and things like that. So you are using the thoughts or comments from the reviewers to include into your manuscript as a limitation section, as a limitation part, or in discussion part of it. And then you are copy pasting it back into your response letter and saying it that this is what changes we have made it. That makes reviewers happy, because that means you acknowledge their point. That means you also are aware of this weakness or flaw in the study, and now you have used their words to enhance your manuscript as well. That is a very good outcome. Reviewers will never be upset that, oh, why did you use my own comment to write into the comment section? And thank them. That thank you for pointing it out, and thank you for providing us some ideas. Now we have included into our manuscript as well. Then there are a few things like there are some methodological issues, some issues which they pointing it out, you discuss with your mentor, you discuss with your statistician, and they are fixable. It will take time. It will take maybe a week or 2 week for your statistician or mentor to get back to you, and they will suggest those issues. Then you, whatever you can fix within your powers and resources you have, you try to fix it. You can't just say that, yeah, this is a problem, we're not going to do anything about it. That will not work. If it is fixable, it requires a little bit of extra data collection or a little bit of extra analysis, which is doable. I would suggest you to do it because that will enhance your paper. And probably without you fixing it, the reviewers will not recommend your manuscript for submission, publication, or resubmission for that matter. Sometimes the point they are asking, it is either contentious, you do not agree with that, or it's not fixable, that they are asking you to change your whole study design and randomization and everything else, which is impossible to do because if you did a clinical trial, randomization has already happened. You can't go back for another year to do another study and things like that. You, which is absolutely not fixable, then you acknowledge that, saying, thank you so much. This may be a methodological issue. However, given the resources, we may not be able to go back to that part, apologize, and saying we will definitely keep in mind. And now we have included this issue into our limitation section. You can always also include that into your limitation section, that this issue is something which was as an oversight during the planning phase of the study, during the analysis phase of the study, or something like that. And then this is a limitation. So please, we will make sure that any follow-up study, we will not repeat this mistake. So in this one slide, I've talked about the low-hanging fruits, the small grammar, spelling, typos, and things like that. Then any weaknesses they're pointing it out, which you can easily bring it out, which is not like the weakness means like there's nothing you can do about it. You acknowledge, you accept, and you include it into your manuscript, your case report, wherever you feel like which will fit in. Methodological issue, that is something if which is fixable, you fix it, and update it into manuscript and come back and tell them that thank you so much for bringing it out. We have now edited or updated our analysis. We have edited our these things. It reads now as, and copy paste what you have written into your manuscript, the new information in track changes mode, copy paste it here into your response letter as well. And again, which is not fixable, you acknowledge and then apologize and move on. Then comes the third major point, which is the high contention area. Means either reviewer doesn't make sense when you're reading again and again, and you have no idea what they're trying to say. At the time, again, the suggestion is read that comment again, read with a calm mind, seeing what, sometimes reviewers may not do a good job because most of the time reviewers are reviewing these things either putting their kids to bed in the evening or the night right before they go to bed, or people are traveling when they are sitting at airport or in the plane sometimes. So reviewers are doing some of these reviews in very much hurry, and they review quite a bit as well. And there was a time that I was reviewing one or two papers every week. I do once a month or twice a month now, not that much, but so you have to understand that, try to see what they are saying in these words, what their point of it. You try your best. What they're trying to make sense. Reach out to your mentors, reach out to your other co-authors and say, hey, can you read this particular comment for me? I'm not trying to make a sense as well. Don't do by yourself. Sit with your co-authors and somebody who is help you in the manuscript or your mentor to find out that what they mean by this particular sentence and what would be a good response. Even though reviewers are not making sense and it's a point of contention, you still have to be kind in your response. You say, thank you so much. To clarify, if you mean this by your message, this is what we have done to fix it. Or to clarify, I think what you mean is this, and we are trying to respond in this way. You can be assertive. If something you're not going to change, you can politely say, thank you so much for pointing it out. However, this is our justification of doing the way we did it. We really appreciate your feedback on it. And that's it. You're not making any changes. You're acknowledging it and then giving your defense of that particular comment as well. Sometimes reviewers are asking you to add certain references. Uh, do it. If it is pertinent to your study, there is no harm. You can easily say, thank you so much for pointing it out. We have now included this reference in our discussion section or in our background section, and then list that particular part as you have done it. Just tell them, and then you make that change into your main manuscript as well. When they are asking change, they are asking which you need to make them, and then they are sometimes they are pretty assertive. If this, let's say you have 3 reviewers in your manuscript, and those reviewers have 2 out of 3 have asked the same question. That means if more than one reviewer is picking up that point, you better answer that one in a very elaborative manner. You can write down your justification a lot into your response letter, but you are expected to make changes in your manuscript as well, and then come back and copy paste that part into your response letter. When I say response letter is, remember I talked about then you copy paste all the comments from editors and reviewers into a Word document. That is becoming your response letter because now you're responding them in point-wise manner. And I have a next slide to just show you how that would be. And I have a couple of examples to do that as well. So in this response letter, you want this response letter to be independent. When the reviewers are responding, you want them to actually make it so independent that all answers are listed there, and all of your changes which are pertinent changes, you are copy pasting them into different for each question as well. Of course you can copy paste the changes of grammars and spelling mistakes and all those things. Make sure that they are visible in the track changes mode into your main document or main manuscript, and you can say that we have made throughout changes for grammar and spelling, and they are listed in track changes mode in red color or blue color or whatever color you see it at that point. And sometimes the color changes based on what you see and what reviewers will see it. So then don't mention the color of the letters unless you have changed the color by yourself for those changes. Then you can mention it. If you're doing in track change mode, the color may be automatic changes as well. So you make your response letter such that it is independent. That idea is that if you're reading your response letter, the reviewers never have to go back to your manuscript. That means you have win and they're going to likely to say it. But if you are just answering a few things, not putting the changes into your response letter, reviewers have to go back and forth to your manuscript and come back to this one. They will get frustrated. And then sometimes reviewers don't like that. And they say, you know what? These guys have not done enough, decent enough job. I'm going to reject this manuscript. So make your life easy by including major changes. If you're including a couple of sentences here and there, copy paste those sentences into appropriate response and make it a independently complete document as you have it as well. That is, I cannot emphasize enough on that. That if they have asked you to make changes and you are making those changes, please make them visible in your response letter. So now what we've done is we talked about that low-hanging fruit, a little bit of more deeper, and then some high contentious areas where you need help by your mentor, by your co-authors, and then you're putting some of these things as you go through. You have done all this. Now time comes for you to actually write down your response letter. So, and I'm going to give you some examples as a part of the response letter that some of the examples we have done. You always start by thanking them, saying thank you so much for spending time and energy on reviewing our letter, reviewing our manuscript. We really appreciate the opportunity to respond to you now, because they could have rejected it based on the review and saying, you know what, we don't want you to respond. So you thank them for reviewing for their time, and you thank them to the opportunity to resubmit it with the changes. That is very important. That's what you start with. Dear Mr. Editor or Madam Editor, dear Dr. Editor, whatever their name is, journal name, and then thank them in a couple of sentences for that matter. Then you write down that here is our point-wise response to your comments and the reviewer 1 to 3 comments as well. You list down that part. Then copy, that's where you have copied your editor's comments, which they talk about, this is a good manuscript, blah, blah. You just say thank you. And if editor is making any comment on your content, you respond to that saying comment 1 and response 1. And you write down the comment and you write down your response to it as well. Most likely editors don't make content comment. You want them to actually respond. They want you to respond to the reviewer's comment. Then you list down reviewer 1 and their comment 1. Reviewer usually write down in paragraphs. So you can split their comment every time they are changing a topic in their response. You can copy paste that and make it as one comment, comment 1, comment 2, comment 3, comment 4, comment 5. Your goal is to respond to even the smallest comment they are making it. If you give them an impression that you have taken the pains to respond to each point they are making it, they become your ally and they want you to succeed. If you put all 4 or 5 comments into one comment and just respond to 1 or 2 of them, then it's a cheating. Reviewers will see it and they say, no, they have not done due diligence. They did not even split my comments. Sometimes reviewers, I do it, I give a point wise comment. So if I'm making a point, that is 1 point per comment. And then I will do the second point and third point and fourth point. So it makes the author's life easier to respond to it rather than them to figure it out where to break my comment and make them comment one and two. So as a reviewer, I already give that kind of approach to my to authors, but you can split it if they have not given that particular part. Then your goes your response. So each comment should be numbered, comment one or C1 and response one. Comment two, response two, comment three, response three, comment four, response four, so on and so forth. Then you start with reviewer two, and then start with comment one, comment response one, comment two, response two, and so on and so forth. So that is a very important formatting. That means you are organized, you are letting the response, the reviewers know, you're letting the editor know that you are serious about it and you are doing, you are putting a comment a wise manner, putting the point wise response to all the comments. Please do check your comments for spelling and grammars as well, making sure that you're not causing spelling and grammar mistake now, because if reviewers have pointed out that you have grammatical mistakes and you are saying that we are fixing it or we fix it and now your response letter a grammatical mistake, that's not a good sign. You can easily run the grammarly and things like that as well. And sometimes you realize that even response the reviewers have written in a way that it doesn't make grammatical sense or spelling sense. You can ignore those parts. Do not comment on reviewers spelling and grammar, because I told you that they sometimes they write it in a very much hurry from the airport in between their patients in the night after putting the kids to the bed and things like that. So they are in a very hurry. They are just helping out. They don't get paid to review any of your papers. So they are just trying to help out the editors and then journals and then authors by providing this peer review. So do not pick up on their grammar and spelling mistakes in their comment section. Worry about your response part of it as well. I cannot emphasize enough that making changes in track changes mode in your manuscript is the crucial part, because you can make the changes and then there is no way for them to know how changes you made. You are making their life very very hard, and that's going to be very very tough for them. So if you are even making a change of a comma, a semicolon, at or in or the, whatever it is, it has to be in track changes mode. In addition to that, if you have uploaded a new citation, that should be in a red or different track changes mode. Any feedback in your discussion section, in your method section, should be in track changes mode. Sometimes you added more clarity to your result section, should be in track changes mode. Sometimes you added change your title based on the feedback given by the reviewers, should be in track changes mode. Your apps that you made changes should be in track changes mode. If you updated a spelling error in author list or affiliation, should be in traction mode. So any change you are making in your manuscript based on reviewers comment, editor's comment, or you figure it out that there was something wrong there, the sentence was not complete and so on and so forth, make them in track change mode. Make it look like that you did a lot of changes throughout, and keep it in track change mode for them to submit it. Sometimes the journals ask you to submit two versions. One is your track changes mode version, and one, after accepting those changes, a clean version. So follow the guidelines of each journal, and at the time you can submit both versions if the journal is asking for. 50-50, half of the time journals are only asked you the track changes version mode and in a Word document which they want to see it, and later on they can accept all the changes. And 50% time they ask you to submit both the version, track changes mode and the cleaner version as well. Submit your response letter. Sometime there is a place for you to submit a Word document as a response letter, you can do it. And sometimes they just give you a spot so you can create the Word document, fix your grammar and spelling and all those things to the response you're providing, and you can copy paste from the bottom to top to bottom, dear Mr. Editor or Dr. Editor, till last response letter, you can copy paste as it is. The reason I'm asking you to do on the Word document is then you can actually pay attention to your grammar and spelling and then formatting and everything else. Don't start typing it into a journal submission directly, the response letter. You can create your letter there, and do a copy paste to the portal they are asking for. 60, 70, 80% of time, the journals ask you to submit the response letter. I would just upload the response letter in a Word document. And then if there is a space for you to say, here is a place you can fill the responses, you can say, we have submitted a response letter as a Word document. Please review it. Or sometimes you can copy paste in two places as well. It doesn't matter. Your goal is to provide them information in the format they are asking you. And if you do that, your chances are increased for getting an acceptance. Sometimes you submit the response, they send you few more questions, and they could be some minor questions. You repeat the same process. If you, let's say you submitted a manuscript, after 2 months you get the feedback, you copy pasted all the feedback, do the changes as I suggested, submitted your updated manuscript and your response letter. Within a week they send you another reviewer's comment is saying, oh, everybody's happy, review 1 is good, review 2 is good, maybe reviewer 3 said, can you also clarify this one point? What you do is you thank the editor, you thank the reviewer 1, you thank the reviewer 2, reviewer 3, you copy paste their comment, you write down comment 1, you write down the response 1, and you upload it again the way you did it for the first time. And that's it. Most of the time, if 2 out of 3 reviewers are happy with you, editor is good. The third reviewer is something which it's most likely maybe an ego issue, or maybe there is something generally they are asking you to cover for it. And then that way, you are just responding it back, and then you're getting another chance to actually clarify an error what has been done for that matter. I'm going to stop here, just to take any questions, and I will pause the share part of it, and then I'm going to share 2 examples with you. Is that is something, the format you can apply for it as well. Let's open up for the questions for now, and then see if we can take any specific question so far, and I'll share my example with you. All right. So now, after the lecture, I just want to bring out a couple of examples of how the reviewer's response letter would look like. And it doesn't mean that I endorse this particular letter, but the idea is that you should be able to see an example. So what you're seeing right now is the response to reviewer 1 comment. The point number 1 is regarding the format of the abstract. The abstract is too long, must reduce this. Yeah. So you can say, thank you for your comment. The abstract has been shortened as per reviewer's suggestion. Now you can't copy paste the abstract. So for that, you just leave it here. You go back and change your abstract into a track changes mode, and that will be it of it as well. When the reviewer is giving you not enough instructions, the introduction can be improved. How? So that you have to just take your best guess. And what you do is, we would like to thank the suggestion, and then we have been improve the introduction. You can follow the principles you learn into answering those 4 questions. Any changes you're making, make them in track changes mode. This particular comment is not helpful when they say can be improved, and you can't ask reviewer what do you mean by that. So what you do is you can go back and then make some changes best to your guess, and then come back and tell them that we made some changes to enhance the introduction. And you can write down that, oh, we added more to knowledge gap section, or more to defend our research. So you can tell exactly what changes you made here, and go back and make those changes and things like that too. I'm just going to go to second reviewer's comment as well. So let's say, please try to redesign, rearrange the demographic and clinical characteristics from the table, especially table 2, because they ruin the great global impression of the paper. That's a good comment. And then saying, we will thank the reviewers, and then we have make the changes. This review, you see it that there is not much written here about what changes has been made, but at least give you an idea that you can start responding that way. Reference 19 is missing. You can say thank you, and then we have updated the reference 19 now. They say that reviewer 3, one major concern. You see like point number 3, response number 3, comment number 3, and things like that. The major several minor issues is few of the cases with genetic studies, fact, this, that. We like to tech part. We acknowledge that the classification of this syndrome through genetic studies is critical aspects of manuscript accuracy. And then you provided a better comment on this particular question to go with that. Now let's switch your gears. I'm going to share another example. So this is a appropriate letter as you see it. So you put down the date, you put down the editor's name, and then different study and year, so on. So we are providing and submitting it to your journal, and this is the response we're doing it. That is where your response letter starts. Then you come down, you talk about the editor. Editor has listed their comment, and then you're providing the thank you to editor part of it as well. Then you come back to your reviewer's comment. Reviewer one, comment once, please indicate the type of sampling used in a study. You say, we appreciate your comment. We note modify the text in the manuscript as follows. You can put down the page and line number and then put down the information here for your reviewer's response for that matter. Same thing with your page number site, how the phenomena of this may increase during the COVID-19 time. And then they are asking you to cite these two one. You appreciate them and say, thank you. We have now included into this one, and then they have been cited on this page number, this line number, and so on and so forth. So you see that there's a pattern when we are going through this reviewer. So you have to have your letter, you have to have your reviewer editor's comment, each reviewer's comment and responses, and then each reviewer. The formatting is a little different, so I would just make sure that you all are left alignment as well. This should be the proper formatting for it. For some reason, it came differently. They're asking the interesting survey. The response is, thank you for the comment. This is the generic response that the reviewer is giving it. Then each comment is listed here. And then each response, you're listing it there. And then you come back and saying valuable comment. We are adding it. We are changing the response. And then you come back and copy paste the changes you make it as well. And then you repeat it each after. It takes time. Don't try to do the response into one sitting. Your goal is to first of all, to just read it a couple of times, copy paste it, arrange it, and then shut down. Then come back to it again and start responding to easier comments with you can answer by yourself one by one. Omit something which is a little more complicated one by one, one by one, one by one. Very quickly you realize that once you have answered some of these questions, you're maybe left with 3 or 4 questions which you cannot answer in that sitting. Read them properly, reach out to your mentor, reach out to other co-authors, and then second sitting, you should be able to finish them very quickly. Usually it takes 2 to 3 hours to respond to reviewers, no more than that. And you can divide them into 2 different sittings and you're good to go for that matter. So I'll stop the lecture recording right now. I hope that this was useful for all of you, how to respond to reviewers. I would summarize it that have patience with yourself, be kind to yourself, be kind to the reviewer, try to respond to each point separately and make changes into track changes mode and submit both the documents, your track changes mode and your response letter, to the journal submission site. Either copy paste it or upload it as well. And then the chances of getting acceptance is very, very high.